saying these things, I feel a touch on my left shoulder. And he says, sorry. He said, I forgive you. And his words, best way to describe is penetrated my whole being and grabbed hold of anything that you can consider iniquity. And it just vanished. Like there was no evidence of my wrongdoings. And I felt physically lighter. And I couldn't understand this. But I knew I'm forgiven. I don't know how to say that, really. How do you explain that when you have, for the first time, experienced? Yeah, I think it gets easier after 35 years and having shared that story thousands of times. But it just gets deeper because somehow your understanding has grown deeper and wider and higher. So anyways, I just felt, I knew that I'm forgiven. I knew it. I knew it. I knew that He has forgiven me. And only God has the power to forgive. And He says, I forgive you, and I feel forgiven, and I'm like confused. And wait a minute. God doesn't come to meet human beings. This doesn't happen. You are there. You forgive me, and I feel forgiven. And this is God. But you're not the God that I read about, that I studied about. You are not Allah. So I said, who are you that forgives me and I feel forgiven today? And He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And I'm thinking, oh, what? Wait a minute. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. I want to be led into this straight path. But path is a direction. You're saying I am. The path is not, the way is not a person. But you're claiming the way is a person. Every Muslim wants to know the way, the straight way. And Jesus says, I am the way. It's amazing as a Muslim, I think, even within the deception of and hopelessness that Islam has brought, even within that, there are words that could be used to lead a Muslim to know Jesus Christ. And I never thought the truth is a person, or life is a person, and it's all the same person. So I had never heard these words anywhere, and so I was like, these things mean a lot. But I don't know what it means. I've never heard them. So I said, I have never heard these words. I don't know what they mean. What is your name? And he said, Jesus Christ. And literally, as if someone grabbed every bone out of my body, I just fell to the floor and fell at his feet and began to weep uncontrollably, even though that's not cultural. A man does not cry in my culture. But I wept. And he stood there. In that moment, I was I was so filled with joy and anger at the same time. I felt like I have come home. But how can you come home when you have never been there? I felt I belonged to him, but I don't know him. How can I know that I am yours and I feel I am yours, but I didn't know you? At the same time, I was so angry because all my prayers and all of my love that I had got, I given and expressed to Allah, was deserving of him. I felt so deceived that the environment I grew up made me think that my love is to be given to Allah, to the uh, inspiration, the giver of inspiration of the Quranic verses, whereas that was meant for Jesus, the inspiration of the Word of God. In fact, we read, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word is God and was God and will remain God forever and ever and ever. And that Word took on flesh and lived among us. So I was angry and I was so joyful. It was as if all these things were running at me like wild horses, And I'm crying. And he's standing there, just being there for me. It's hard to reconcile the creator of heaven and earth, at whose feet the whole world should dismantle and bow, to stand there in the position of servanthood. And I don't say that lightly. I was a nobody, but I needed him. And he stood there not as a mighty God that demands his right of being served, but he stood there knowing that I need to just weep. And he stood there allowing me to be a shoulder to cry on. What an amazing concept. So I just cried for some 2 hours